E12.4. Lois SLU issued 1,000 ordinary shares. Instructions: prepare the entry for the issuance under the following assumptions. Before we start, I just wanted to show you something. Every time we're dealing with issuance of shares, it's very easy for us to confuse the accounts, right? So let me show you this over here. Besides the treasury shares, we actually just have ordinary shares, right, that we can issue, and we have preference shares. And then under ordinary shares, we will always have share capital ordinary or share premium ordinary. Then under preference shares, we would always have share capital preference or share premium preference. Be careful for you not to write share preference here because the name of the account is share premium preference. Okay, so these over here are always going to be the number of shares times the current par value for both of them. Okay, and for these over here, they are always going to be the difference. Okay, so I'm going to use some colors here to make it easier for you to visualize it. All right, so in this case over here, they issued 1,000 ordinary shares, which means that in this exercise, we are not doing this part, right? Because we're not issuing preference shares. We are only going to be paying attention to this part over here because we are issuing ordinary shares. Okay, so let's start now. A. The shares had a par value of 5 per share and were issued for a total of $48,000. Okay, so when you issue shares, you always issue them for something, right? In this case, we issue them for cash, so our cash has to go up. And then, since we're dealing with this, remember, we're going to have share capital. Don't write it like me, okay? Write the full name, please. Share capital ordinary. And we are going to have share premium ordinary. So the cash is going to be the total amount. In this case, they were issued for a total of $48,000. So over here, we're going to put 48. But they had a par value of 5 and 1,000 were issued. Remember that this one, it's always going to be the number of shares times the par value. So it's going to be 5 times 100, which will give us 5,000. And the other one is always the difference. So $48,000 minus $5,000 give us $43,000. B. The shares had a stated value of 5 per share and were issued for a total of $48,000. Well, here they don't tell us the par value, right? But every time they say stated value and give us a number, we can just treat this number as if it was the par value. So basically letter B is the same thing as letter A. So the entry is also going to be the same because we can treat the stated value as a par value. So we are going to have cash on the top, share capital ordinary, and share premium ordinary, and the numbers are going to be the same for the same reason. 48,000, 5,000, and 43,000. Let's see letter C. The shares had no par or stated value and were issued for a total of $48,000. Well, in this case, since we don't have par value, we cannot calculate any difference, right? So we're just going to have cash and this one credited. So our cash has to go up because we're issuing the shares, and we're going to credit share capital ordinary and we are going to have the issuance price, which was $48,000 for both of them. D. The shares had a par value of 5 per share and were issued to attorneys for services during incorporation valued at $48,000. Well, in this case, we issued the shares not for cash. We issued them in order to, in exchange for something. In this case, we exchanged for attorneys for services, right? So this kind of thing, when you issue for an attorney or for somebody else, we actually call this account organization expense. Okay, so this is the one that we are going to be debiting it, and it makes sense if you think about it, because this is an expense, right? So expenses, they are a plus and a minus, so in this position it is a plus, so that's why we're debiting it. And in our case over here, they also gave us a number, right? They gave us a 5, so we're actually going to have both accounts as well. So over here we are going to have share capital ordinary. All of the accounts here are ordinary, right? Because we're issuing ordinary shares. Share premium ordinary as well. So they were issued for $48,000, so here we're going to have 48. And since the number is the same, we actually didn't have to calculate it. But just so you remember, this one, it is the number of shares times the par value. So here, this is the number, this is the par value, and this is the number of shares, right? So it's going to be 1,000 again. And the share premium ordinary, that is the difference, which is 43,000 again. Last one, letter E. The shares had a par value of 5, so the same number again, and were issued for land worth $48,000. So it is the same thing. They were not issued for cash. In this case, they were issued for land, so we're debiting land. And again, since the par value is the same and we're issuing the same kind of shares again, we are also going to be debiting the same accounts: share capital ordinary and share premium ordinary. And since the values are the same, we can repeat them as well.